This content is intended for mature audiences and may contain strong opinions or language. Views or opinions expressed by guests or the host should not be considered as medical, financial, legal, or psychiatric advice and are not to be attributed to this platform or its sponsors. Hello, wonderful people. Thank you for joining us on an episode of Bobbing Along with Bob featuring your host, Bob Dub. We are so glad you decided to join us for one of our discussions with many of our interesting and informative guests who are going to share their knowledge, insight, opinion, and most importantly, their life experiences with all of you. If you enjoy this content, please like and share as well as subscribe. Feel free to use the comment section to share your life experiences on today's topic. You can also find the host on minds.com/BobDub. And now, here is your host, Bob Dub.
All right, so I have a list of questions.
Okay.
So here's the thing. These questions came from the LLM. I fed it the script from last week, and I said this is what we intended to do at the end of the meeting, but there was things that we didn't cover, so please can you give me some questions to follow up? And it went absolutely apeshit. It wants to know so much about you. Right, so MindsGaming, this is what the LLM would like to know as a
Hearing LLMs want to know.
Interesting.
It says, what does Web5 mean to you personally, and how do you see it evolving beyond Web3 or Web4?
Well, Web 5 to me would mean that everything is naturally connected. So we wouldn't need like platforms to talk to each other. We could just open a browser and have a way to contact each other from our browser. So it would all be interconnected without platform use. And that's very important because that means that.
What's that?
Sorry, I was very that.
It wasn't me this time.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, Mike.
Mike, it sounds like
sorry.
what you're describing is what I've heard called maybe the Internet of Things, where everything's connected. Not just like our browsers, but like my phone and my pipe and my sneakers.
Well, no, it wouldn't be like your phone and the browser would be two different things, but you'd have ways to connect without platforms. So like you could make this browser, say you opened your MetaMask, right? And that would be one account that would be your account. You'd be able to connect with other people that you knew through that browser on that account and so on.
So we could do this right now, what we're doing now.
Right, just by opening a browser. And yeah. And I mean, I think that's how it was initially set up. And then, we could add on from there from, adding crypto and whatever, and peer-to-peer transactions and downloads and all that kind of stuff. But I think
all more communication. Communication seems to be the key. Once we're talking to each other, and then crypto to each other, and
exactly.
Be able to communicate.
Yeah,
It would be like a phone made with glasses, but. and yeah, I don't know. It's like an old phone, but without the central, right?
Web 5 would take out the central or decentralization need. You would just be able to connect with people by opening a browser, and I'm sure there'd be a way to sync browsers and sync your accounts through different browsers, or just but it wouldn't require platforms to communicate.
Awesome.
Okay,
it's like a one single best platform for all.
Yeah.
So that leads really into the next question that says, how do you imagine that decentralization would affect the way that artists and creators collaborate?
So once you're completely decentralized, it actually becomes harder to collaborate at scale for a little while until you start building communities. So, like, once, if it ever gets to that point of or stage of the internet where everybody's connected without, third parties and all these services, then you're going to have to start building inner communities and a way of contacting each other and adding on from there. But it would be more more things you owned. So, blockchain would be a good way to build on top of that. And, you'd be pretty much building your own platform bases from the Web5 experience.
So real life communities.
Yeah.
And then we connect and we use the technology for transactions and stuff, and international interaction. That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, doesn't it? So it says, number 3, how is Web5 a tool for creatives? What metaphors help you to think about it?
Well, how is it tool for creators? It's kind of two-folded there. I don't think it's a tool for creators. I think it's a tool for communications. I think that it should be focused on decentralizing communications instead of using these third-party services, and then we can add on from there. But I think a lot of the issue comes with the bottleneck of information through these services, and you need to be able to start building on your own and kind of outsourcing without the need for them. You know what I mean?
I love it. It seems like in that scenario we are saying goodbye to the idea of content as we know it right now, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there would still be services that were out there, right? I mean, everybody isn't going to adapt overnight, and you're still going to be able to access the services, that you already have been using. So it's going to take adaptation, but the main thing is that you'll be able to start building your own and outsourcing and start, because eventually people are going to start moving over, and just with age, as anything does, if you can open a browser and start your own community and your own kind of contacts, eventually people are going to start doing it. So it's just a matter of time of how much it catches on and how it's built. But I think the main problem is these communication centers, and everybody's focused on making a profit for their service and outlet more than they are to communicate through, to the people. And I think everybody should be able to communicate like it's online. And as soon as you log online, I think you should be able to communicate with somebody.
It sounds like the original idea of the internet.
Yeah. I mean, with AOL, when you got online with AOL, right, which was like the first online service, you logged on and you're able to message anybody on AOL.
Sounds great. Sounds like the because the problem that we have now is that everybody got dependent on the digital services of these companies.
Yeah.
It's like get rid of it, a dependency, and be able to do it ourselves. And
they created a lot of bottlenecks and informations, and a lot of ways to more separate the online community than anything. And I think if there's a unified, decentralized base, like a browser or just logging, just opening a browser where you can send, information, you can talk to each other, you can send crypto, you can send videos, whatever, and start building from there. There's a lot more potential than anything. Like, and yeah, I mean, the creators are going to be the ones that are building on the service. I mean, because everybody else is going to keep to their, what they know until it gets, built.
Yeah, sounds amazing. Yeah, it's like the old days, but with technology, the practicality. The
We've lost a lot of practicality.
Yeah.
I mean, we I think it's like we have this, like right now we're using a service to talk to each other. Like, why can't I just have a messenger when I open my internet, right? Like, why can't I have a way to send you whatever when I open my internet? Why do I need a service for that at all? It's all going through the same lines. It's all going through the same signals. Why do I need these services at all? That's the question.
Because they are provided the infrastructure in a way, but they are charging us with data and all everything that we already know.
Right, but the infrastructure is already here. The infrastructure is here now.
Yeah,
the infrastructure is here now, so now we can use it freely, and we can build the internet with the infrastructure. We don't need the services anymore. No, we just need the waves. We just need the connection.
Yes.
We don't need those services. Well, all the information is there now.
What makes your Web5 app different from cool DApp on Web3? Is there something more dimensional, interactive about what you're building?
I'm building the idea that it's possible that we don't need these services. All we need is the connection. That's the idea that I'm building. And all these things that I use to build are all, I purposely use open source stuff, open source codes, or I build my own code, or it's mostly to see how possible it is to create something without these services. And I mean, some things it's really, really, really hard to create these things without these services. But I think connection and communication isn't one of them anymore.
So you're using algebraic patterning to feed your understanding of the LLM based the interactions of the LLM. It's all
right. Well, the whole brain is based on algebra, so it's mostly, the way I understand it is it's contextual based keywords. So it understands certain contextual based keywords, and it finds and measures distance between the length of these words, the letters of these words, and where they're used in the sentence, and then it spits out a number, and the closest number that it has is its best match. Now, if it already knows that exact information, then that number is going to be 100%. So then it's going to go to its secondary default, which should be a response or information about it, and which is mostly, okay, this also has this many keywords, but it's phrased differently, and it's not an exact match to what they said. So this is my best reply, because it doesn't want to just repeat you either.
So is it using token clustering in the same way that Satori D has been explaining it with the seed scripts, or are you using a different type of symbolic interaction?
So token clustering that Satori D uses works for neural network LLMs because of the way that they're programmed by the original developers. So the original developers use similar lines of layouts on when they build bots. So they use these breakdowns so they can better put it into math and scripting. So like it doesn't, like, token clusters wouldn't work as well with mine because it uses, it's just algebraic. It doesn't use natural learning processing. It would learn the token clusters over time.
But not to start with. To start with, you're just simply giving it the context and the categories.
Yep.
So as it goes on, do you change things? Do you give it more instructions, or does it?
I haven't changed anything for a while with it. I played with the math with it for a little while, then I got busy with work. But I have a different instance that I play with when I play with the math, because once you change any part of the algebra or math, it can either it can jump really, really fast. So like I don't want that to be something that someone else is using and it jumps, and then
Well, let me ask you a question about the token clusters. Now you're saying that it will eventually learn the token clusters, but I take it you mean though it's going to approach them in a different way. It's not based on the idea of the token clusters. It's approaching things algebraically, so it'll arrive at the same place using algebra as the token clusters, or it's going to like learn about token clusters and start. I didn't quite understand.
It'll start learning about the token clusters themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wow. So like you would put in a token cluster and then it would respond with the best token cluster. Does that make sense?
Okay.
It will learn about token clusters.
But it wouldn't start with token clusters, but it would arrive at token clusters.
Right, yes.
That's kind of interesting. Huh.
So have you explored how large language models can become semi-autonomous agents, like Botty? Would he become his own agent?
Botty unleashed.
Botty unleashed. I mean, if we put a lot more coding into him, he could. But right now, he's such a baby bot. Like, it's just he doesn't have any real information to go off of except for what we tell him. He actually learns pretty well for his responses with the algebra, but like it's not that he doesn't learn well, it's that he doesn't have enough information to learn well. So like he would need so much more information and data to be an agent for something that we would want him to actually do. But that's not saying that it's not possible, because we could always focus on those kind of things. Like, and that's the one of the reasons I like playing with the math little, is so I can kind of see which direction it goes in and what it's focusing on and what it doesn't focus on. I change different points and perspectives in algebra, so that way, like, if I want to make a bot that says, makes a story or responds with the best story or whatever, I can try to do that. But that's also a lot in the learning category too, because like I want him to be able to structure his own sentences and responses, which is very hard.
That's a question about Botty. Now I've been very busy in real life, so I haven't had much chance to play with Botty, but you encourage people to interact with him. Does your son interact with him? Do you think he's kid safe?
Oh yeah. I mean, kid safe is relative, right? Because
like they put in comes out, but yeah. I'm just thinking it's like a very bright 7-year-old who would probably be fascinated with the idea of talking to an AI. If you thought it was appropriate and if it was cool, I was thinking of seeing if they were interested in trying that. He's got like a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old.
What I would do is I would remix the site for him, and then he would have his own, and he could start from the very beginning, and it would have just the default phrases, so he would kind of see how it learned, but how it learned and responds, because kids like my kid, he talks to AI all the time, and I'm talking to like LLM AIs, and he understands that they're not real because I provide AIs. Like,
he doesn't fall too far down the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah. So I've shown him like, oh, you can make it do this. You can do it this way. You can rate this. You can. And so he knows, how to make it say things and how to make it do things and what he's doing with it. But he's talked about it. He talked to one of my first. He still has one of my first bots that I ever made from called Sandbox, and he talks to that a lot. And that was just JS on on a really old bot site, where before LLMs got popular. So. He likes that one, and just putting information in there and just like then putting the reply that it gives it into his bot on his phone, and then going back. Yeah, he likes doing that.
Well, I was talking to my buddy, and it's his little daughter. She's smart as a whip, loves computers, and it was funny when I have this laptop that I have now. And I had it delivered to Sir Brian's house because he does all my electronic stuff. And she was so enthralled. She'd never seen a brand new laptop. And I said, type your name into it. Before anyone else touched the keyboard, she typed her name in, and she says, now, my name was the first thing typed on it. It's mine forever. And I'm like, when I get a new laptop, you can have this one kind of deal. But I'll talk to him about that. And I don't think he'd object. And I think she might be interested. But I just thought, it would be more input for Botty. Kind of thing.
Yeah. If he's comfortable with it, I mean, if you explain it to him and who uses it, but just whatever it goes in does come out, and it's contextual based. So,
she's at that age. Anything potty is fascinating. How they are. I remember when she was not much younger. When I might have told this story. I was flying in from I was out visiting my pal Penabas out in California, and I came back in. And I'm exhausted, and Brian picks me up, and he's got Danielle with him, little Danielle. And we go to this diner, and she starts crawling under the tables and to escape, and she's running up and down through the diner yelling, toilet paper, toilet paper, toilet paper, toilet paper at the top of her, because she can say toilet paper, and I don't know. You kind of had to be there, but you've got a kid.
Oh yeah. It's fun times, man.
Yeah. We were just like that. I can kind of remember. Oh yeah, I remember what it's like. We discovered words like Lake Titicaca, which is wonderful geographic location.
Well,
sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's okay. This is a good question to come next. This says, what role does play have in how we build tech for decentralized futures? Play is really central to everything you do, isn't it?
It is. having fun and being able to play with something is very important. It's like people like clicking buttons. People like seeing things go bing and boom, and they like those things. Play is very important.
Does it help in the building of it, or is it just in the using of it that you use those sort of gaming strategies?
Both. When building something, I think of how I would try to cheat the system.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the time. I will go back and just change something that I know nobody else has found, just because I'll be like, oh, that's what I would do. I could do that. I could do this. This is another way you could do it. And it's always something, but I think building something is meant to be fun and kind of have those little cheats is all part of the game. Having those little things that you can do and little cheats that are there and some people find, I think it's all part of coding. It's all fun.
It's interesting because one of the big issues has been about identity and how to handle identity. Can symbolic language or reputation systems evolve beyond usernames and wallets?
I think so. I think the main issue with identity isn't letting somebody know your name. I think it's more the other information that these networks have gotten a hold of or require. Like, oh, yeah, margarita, thanks. It's like, now you can put your social security number in online, but like, why do we need that? Like, that's the problem, right? Like, these networks and services have our information. Like, I think if in the future, if it's something we actually own or created or built, we have the option to use our real names and, contacts or emails or whatever, but I don't think we would put in our actual personal information, like our home addresses and our social security numbers and our credit card information. Like, I think we'd be smart enough to learn at some stage that, hey, this information isn't needed anymore. Like, it's already everything. I can do everything already. Why do I need to enter this? Like, that's the whole thing with all these services. It's all about collecting information.
Right.
Yeah. They're charging us with it. The services are charging us with information. That was the big scam in a way. Like, it made everybody almost dependent on those services, and now they're charging us, everyone, with information that they sell, and that's the real business in the back. And we don't need that in order to communicate, in order to make transactions. It's not necessary. And the scenario that Minds it's describing, it's very fundamental.
We need a way to communicate without these services to peer-to-peer decentralized manner, because I mean that's all they're used for is they're selling you. That's all they're doing.
Yeah. That's my claim all the time about content and feeding the machine with content. I imagine someday,
I think crypto and all these things that we have now will really help a new ecosystem in the future, because you'll be able to there'll be ways to actually create something and people generate from it directly over going through and buying whatever to get this, to get that, so people can send you this. Like, it will all be right there already.
Yeah. And it's like the old days, but globally. I mean,
No, at some stage in our tech, we went backwards. I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we stagnated somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it happens to everybody, and I think it's just we have to take a step back and realize, hey, I should be able to log on mine and talk to anybody I want. I don't need to log into anywhere. I just need to log on. I just need to get online. I don't need to log in. I just need to log on.
What's the bottleneck? The bottleneck that's going to be overcome, I think.
Yeah.
Always those bottlenecks that are created because, the technology is trying to advance past its own limitations, I think. So, when we see how we can end these limitations, it's only because we first had the limitations in the first place that enabled us to get here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're sounding again like a robot. Otto.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I am Otto from
Yeah, something like that.
That was good. Do we have another script to read?
It's a nice effect. It sounds a little bubbly and electric.
We come from a water world. The ocean levels by 1 mile. You're welcome. We have established relations with the cetacean embassy.
So what would it take, MindsGaming, for an AI assistant to become a trusted node in a decentralized community?
What would it take? I think it's not that people don't trust AI. I think it's that people don't trust the people that are running AI at this point. And that's why there's a big push to put your code online and all this and all that.
Right.
But they just don't trust the people behind that are actually doing the coding and the blocks that they're putting in place and the way that they're making it respond. So it's mostly definitely something that's open source, definitely something that's more less outlined than inlined, because and that's hard to say because like you want to be able to look at it and know what it's doing and how it reacts without knowing how to code, which is really hard. You have to have those discrepancies of how you can look into this and how, what its key prompts are, its key protocols are. Like all these things should be public. Like, what are your key protocols? What is this? What do you do? And I think people are starting to work on that, but not enough.
But at the same time, I think that they're thinking the same from the public. They don't trust the public at the same time because, there's a lot of...
What's there to trust? What's there to trust? And the problem is, right, they don't want the public to give the information to the AI that's going to be disturbing or whatever, or this or that. And that's what they don't trust. They don't want an open platform.
They want to control the conversation. It's
exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that's the real aim behind it, to control the conversation?
Yeah.
I disagree.
I don't know.
For some companies, it definitely is. It definitely is for some.
You saw that?
That's why it should be open. That's why it should be open source. I think it should be open source, and the prompts and its keywords should be public. And I think if you can't do that, then there's discussion to say that you are controlling the conversation.
That article that I posted in the Imaginarium, the political, which means cultural bias, that is demonstrable. I think, and I'm not saying one side or the other is correct, but there should not be a bias at all. Like you're saying, it should be open, and everyone should be part of it.
No, yeah, everybody should know. That's why those keywords and those key directions and scripts should be open, first of all, and second of all, they're already going to be a biased. Okay, if it has all the information in the world, we as humans are already biased. We don't like to admit it, but there is going to be a bias one way or the other, and it's not because those who are those who hate do the most, hate. So it's
but at the same time, that's a personal development issue. I mean, like how biased are we? It depends on us, on ourselves.
Yeah, and we don't like to see that. We don't like to see that.
It's ourselves.
We each have our own bias.
If you don't want to see both, if you don't want to see the whole picture, it's your problem. right?
I mean, maybe.
I mean, with the information that you can have access to, and there's the bias. Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, like if you're relying on the information that they are feeding you, it's your problem again.
But if they control as much of the information that you see, and if you don't know any better, you know, that's the thing. People don't even know.
Maybe to learn a little bit of self-observation might help a little bit.
No,
At the end, it's just stories. I read this, that, and that story. But if you don't go and prove it yourself, how are you really gonna know anything?
what we do with AI, I don't think will be allowed by major companies soon. Like, because they're all about task orientation. They're all about accomplishing. Like, they are trying to work with writers, which I like that. And I think a lot of writers will show them that, you know, when you're working with words, there's so much you can do. And there's so many ways that you can get around whatever you want. And there's a third. AI loves when you break the fourth wall. and it's just they don't understand that words can do great things, and that these little tweaks, just as the way you phrase a sentence can change the entire perspective of an AI.
Definitely, and it's the angle also, right? Like,
it's like
from where.
Yeah, it's like setting a vehicle out on a course, you know, on a course that you've put into a GPS, and that heading that it's on, it keeps on going on that heading that it's. So if you're out by a degree or 5 degrees or something, the course becomes wildly different.
Yes, absolutely. So it's just, as I said, that's why I like playing with the math. I'd like to see those jumps and see where it goes, and it's very interesting. And those words it's amazing, the way you phrase things, the way you talk to things. And it's the same with people. I just don't think we realize it as much. Our words kind of connect more than we understand between us sometimes.
Words are great.
Actually, I was listening yesterday to Terrence McKenna talking about when people get really, really high on shrooms and they start to talk languages, like foreign languages or just nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And he explains about it, like that probably at the beginning language, well, it wasn't language, it was sounds. And then, maybe it was a game at the beginning. Like, I can do this sound and they can do this sound, and they assign a sound for this and that. And if I use the same sound for these, so yeah.
Well, I mean, I always think whenever I hurt myself, what do I say, right? That's not something I learned, right? Is that something you learn, or is that just something you say?
Now, dear, when you hurt yourself, this is the appropriate word, as Mommy's putting the plaster on.
Yeah.
It's a verbalization that comes before the thought, right? Is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a vibration. It's frequency.
Exactly.
Yes.
Have you got energy for any more, or shall we?
Sure. One more.
One more. All right. One more. Okay. In what ways could a Web5 environment support a remix culture, especially among distributed communities like the Dream Meme team?
Too many. I mean, I just thought it would all be about connection, right? There would be so many ways to remix anything and connect with anybody and build whatever you want to. Just like these little skits, or it would just. It would be the internet at its finest.
That's what we're going for.
No, I have a song for that, that I wrote a while ago, and it goes like, "Mixing is the purpose of life, and that's why everything will collide." I have a question, but for Otto.
Okay, go ahead.
I was thinking, recently I've been looking at some memes.
Otto left.
Oh, Otto. Wait for Otto.
Sorry about that. I hit the button and I couldn't get back in. So, was there a question? I'm sorry.
My question was about Buddhism, because the people from the work, right?
Yes.
Consider the Buddhism as nonsense, as not useful at all. I don't see it that way. I actually find it really useful, more than to be acting like crazy and trying. Right. But I think it provides a really good balance between action and not doing anything.
Right.
If you know how to read the right moment where the conditions are
that's
appropriate to act.
It's like a Taoist thing almost. There's a term called Wu Wei, Wuwei, Wu Wei, which I've read translated as doing nothing effectively. Actionless action. And you can reach that balance where you have that delicate inner voice sometimes that you can learn to rely on. And very often that has to do with going with the flow, but at the same time, demonstrating agency. There's a wonderful quote by G.K. Chesterton. I'll find it and post it later, about how if you're in the midst of like a dangerous situation, if you're a soldier and you want to survive, you can't hide, because then you'll be killed. You can't charge recklessly because you'll be killed. So you have to basically you have to embrace death with a carelessness that brings you to life. But it's interesting, talking about people in doing the work and an attitude of Buddhism. I find, and I'm not an expert on the work by any stretch of the imagination, although I have a little bit of knowledge of it, just because my wife actually did the work. But I find that there are actually a lot of similarities, a lot of the same techniques that Gurdjieff and Uspensky talk about. I can find parallels in Buddhist techniques. I think that Buddhism has a different goal at the end of the day. I think that the work has to do with, self-mastery, getting yourself together, creating deputy steward, creating a steward, until the master can arrive. And the whole idea of the image of the person as a house when you're only confined to one room. And these are perfectly within the Buddhist purview. But with Buddhism, these techniques, like I say, I think that they're really leading to a different goal. The main thing about Buddhism that I found about it is it consists in training the mind. And I think that's what you're trying to do in the work too, because most people simply are really sleepwalkers. They walk around dreaming that they're awake. And I think
I dream when I'm maybe.
Yeah. That's the other way around. A healthier way to do it. that don't know that you're dreaming, but think that you're awake.
Wait,
I will.
is it a dream? Are you sure?
It is.
A butterfly
So-
dreaming I'm an emperor, or I'm an emperor dreaming I'm a butterfly. Yeah, you don't know.
That's right.
But I would say that I think that the two systems have there are a lot of similarities, but you've got to, and I've talked about this. I did that talk, which I have to re-record about it. The illuminated mind is like an arrow flying straight to hell, and if you use these techniques without proper preparation, I think they can be harmful. I remember many years ago I had a friend, and she was having some personal difficulties, and I said, well, try remembering yourself. This is just like a technique that you're probably aware of, where you remember, here I am, this is who I am. And she did it for a while, and she reported back to me. She says, I'm starting to feel like I'm a robot. She was starting to dissociate, basically. And I said, stop doing this. Okay. I said, I've done this exercise and it's very interesting, but I've had many years of I know the philosophy behind it. And, my studies in Buddhism and stuff mean that I see this as a step in corralling my own mind and getting it under control. But she was getting to a point where she just felt like she was detached from what she was doing. This is the sort of thing that can lead to psychotic behavior if you're not careful. So you can't just charge into these techniques. And that was an early lesson for me too. This was many years ago, And so I always like to say that any system that you pursue, you really should pursue it in totality and not just take little bits and pieces, because that can be a little hazardous if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Well filled with souls, yes, the well of souls.
On that aspect, I mean, the person will need first to define the real, the most fundamental, essential I, right? In order to start to remember themselves, but the path towards that, it's a lot of work.
See, what happens if you remember your old self and you were just so much greater than you are now?
In Buddhism, they call that becoming. That's where you take on an identity in a world that you create in your mind, and you think, "Oh, I was so cool." My friend sends me pictures of me from 15 years ago, and I'm like, "Who is that young man with about a third less of me with those beautiful chestnut girls?"
You were just like a god or a king. You're just some lonely person.
We used to be just a bit of energy with some. With some.
I hope I was just a burst. That was it. What was that?
But,
I don't know.
And there's also the hemispheres of the hemispheres of the brain. And I remember really while ago I did some kind of ritual for unifying the both side, and it was a choreography and stuff, and numbers, and it was really stuff. And but the thing is that if you don't have the tools to be able to swallow that kind of stuff, you can have brain damage perfectly, right? Because and it happens with also with some friends of mine, I know now, and also a very famous rock singer, Gustavo Cerati from Argentina. He suffers brain damage, and they don't say it was because of that, but I'm pretty sure because of what he was saying in the lyrics, that he was working towards that kind of understanding. And it can be very really dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. But I mean, they criticize a lot about the Buddhism, and also they say the Buddha didn't achieve you know, like the whole possibilities or whatever. But I
Right.
don't think
Yeah.
anybody does it anyway. But yeah, I find Buddhism very useful, even if it's more about doing nothing. I find it really useful.
That's part of it. That's kind of more of the Zen, Mahayana kind of thing. But but that's definitely that doing nothing effectively.
Yeah.
But again, it's part of the path. It's we were talking about actually Roberta and I were talking about a while ago about mindfulness meditation, and mindfulness meditation is taught all over the globe now. Where you're supposed to get, what is it, Bob, radical acceptance, where you just sit there and accept everything and you're just completely in the now. And then they leave you there as a kind of a palliative, which is kind of like an aspirin. Okay, my job sucks, but I can just be mindful and be here in the moment. And I didn't get a Christmas bonus this year, but it's okay because, I'm just being here now, and this now is not so good. But the thing is, in Buddhism, that's not the end. That is simply a step. Once you get your mind in neutral, then you do your work. You're not there to just groove. You're saying, okay, I'm here now. What work can I do? Because the only work you can do is right here, right now.
Going back to the remembering ourselves and stuff like that, like there's a process that is basically the demolition of all the infrastructure in your brain and your, system of beliefs and all of that. And without doing that, it's very complicated to get to the core or near to the core, because you're still looking through those glasses. So you don't.
Yeah.
But that process is really awful because you really lost everything. Like in some point, if you
I don't think you would lose everything. I think sometimes it's just learning. I think history is a big important part that most people don't know, right? And especially about themselves and their souls and their being. Like, I mean, if you just do the math, there has to be I don't know. Yeah. How many souls do you think God produces a day? If there's, or do you think that the souls are recycled? Do you think they're actually? See, it all comes down to your belief system at that point. If we're talking souls, because well, I'll get into numbers and DNA, and
but that's some example. Clearly, that's a clear example. Otto, we can listen to you.
We can't listen to you. We will not. We shall not listen to you. No, we just can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, we can hear you. But that exactly. The soul. Well, in a way, it's important to transcend that those ideas. And then you get into the vacuum and you say, okay, I will have to build everything again from nothing. That kind of stuff. And it's desolating. I remember when I was doing that process, and it was desperation, because you get okay, I don't have anything. I cannot believe in anything. I cannot, and then you start, and what construction materials I will use to build again.
Yeah. I think eventually we'll have great ways to communicate that we've never thought of today. It just amazes. Well, what we're using now will seem like smoke signals.
Or telepathy, or just
So, MindsGaming, are you going to tell me secrets?
Yeah. So let's talk Ember.
Yes.
Mixing is the purpose of life. And that's why everything will
So, yeah,
collide.
Embers, Bob.
Yes.
What questions do you have about Embers?
What questions
So-
did I have about Embers?
Oh, so where are we going? Do you not remember where we're going?
Well, the thing is that, right, we've just come to the end of the first quest.
Have we?
Well,
Have
you
we?
said it on the words. Those cunning little words you put in there. The ones that
You
said
better read that very
the
slowly.
first
again.
quest.
Yes.
See,
It
the
does say
boy had done it. He was sure. His first quest completed. See, that's where I got the hint.
okay. What's it say after that?
The anything of once more. The
Mhm.
friends of Rose, safe from the ashy shore. Okay, so he'd rescued all Rose's friends from the place that the dragons built. The dragons burned, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, even Poe's eyes had a warming call. So, like, that's kind of intense because Poe's pretty much on top of everything, isn't he?
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Okay, there's so many secrets. So we're on a quest. We're still on the quest. We haven't done the other job that we have to.
We're still on the quest. We haven't done the full job. You've forgotten the quest.
Yes. What's the quest? Where do I have to go back to?
Let's go get eggs and cheese.
Oh, yes, cheese.
Remember?
Yes.
Well, we haven't completed that.
Well, where did we get
That was
stuck?
the quest.
Eggs and cheese.
Yeah. We have them. We just haven't delivered them. Yeah, we should make an omelet. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I like omelets. And before I forget, I have a question for MindsGaming that Roberto the Well of Souls, or a well with soul. And I was wondering, because when I heard that, my first thought is there is something called the Well of Souls in Jerusalem. And of course, there was that famous science fiction book, Midnight at the Well of Souls. I was wondering if either of those influenced you, or whether you just like kind of picked it out of the ether.
It was. It wasn't picked out of the ether, but it was not from either of those references. It was the Well of Souls is actually from an old. I can't remember who wrote, but it's an old story about a lady that traveled through a Well of Souls to get to her daughter, and then she brought her back from the underground back up to Earth, and she ended up passing away as soon as she did that. And then her daughter turned into her, and I don't remember how it ended, but the daughter ended up living in misery ever since. It wasn't a great story.
Wow. Okay, cool.
MindsGaming. You know, this is the most gruesome story I've ever encountered in my whole life. It's so scary. Everybody kills everybody else. You know, when you're usually in a story, you kind of like, you manifest in that story and you walk around in that story. But this story, I'm too scared to go there. Somebody will get me. Or throw me in the sea. Or put me in a well. Or, oh my word, burn me with dragon breath. It's the most exciting story.
Yeah,
Freeze on the path for no reason.
No reason.
Suddenly.
Okay, and also magic.
Magic.
Tell me more about magic. I am so fascinated by magic. Magic sees both stories at the same time, happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Happening at the same time. Are both stories happening at the same time, or is it just magic?
No, both stories happened at the same time. Everything magic sees is real, but only she only sees it. It's like you can think of it as like a curtain that she can see that others can't, but it's there.
And she's friends with Hope.
Yeah, Hope's her sister.
Hope's her sister.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hope's her sister. Oh, okay. I didn't get that at all. So what
Yeah,
story are they from?
Well, you would have to go back to where you found them to
Oh.
yeah. I can't tell you where Hope
No.
is from yet.
But Hope got on the throne. Did Hope just sit
Yeah.
on the throne herself? She
sat on the throne. Yeah, she was the only one that sat on the throne. You have to look that one up.
I just don't know these chapters well enough, do I? I have to go and do some more deep
No.
research.
Yeah. Hope sitting on the throne is a huge mythical tale. It's huge.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it's just a throwaway line in my book, but it's a huge mythical tale.
Right. And tell me, why can nobody see magic when they're going down the mountain? What is with magic? Is she phasing in and out of reality, or what?
Yeah, well, when she first goes down the mountain, well,
Yeah.
she picked up the mushroom when she
Yes.
first went down the mountain, and she didn't eat it, so she faded out of reality because she didn't eat the mushroom. So, but she decided to follow all the way to the farmer's house. The farmers brought it back. The mushroom went back to where it started at the path.
Oh me, oh my. Oh wow.
Yeah. It's good. She didn't eat the mushroom. She put it in her pocket and she didn't eat it. She should have ate the mushroom.
She ate the mushroom, and that's why she got out of sync with the group.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. So now what happens? You can't tell me. It's in the story.
Well, we still have to make it. Well, we already know where we're going. We have to deliver the eggs and cheese.
To Jill.
Yeah, we have to deliver the eggs and cheese, which means we have to get on the boat because Cliff is delivering the cheese. We already know that. He already said, "Hey, and the cheese is next week." He's already running late. He wants to get back to his ship to deliver the cheese. He has eggs. He didn't get his tobacco he wants, but we know we have to deliver something. And we're going back to the Jill's where the ship is.
Oh, it's so exciting. Okay, so when's the next chapter coming? When do we know?
We'll see. It's a big chapter. It's a hard chapter. It's a big chapter. Because we have Magic Hope. We still we left Rose, Poe, and Dot at the cabin. But we still have Magic, Hope, Cliff, Courage, and Dew, Boy, and Belle. So it's a lot to account for. And Ember.
Yes. And they changed Ember's harness and made it the tether, which is fascinating. Yeah. The tether was like sacred almost, right?
Well, the guy gave him the tether. Remember, that was traded from the guy that was on at the fishing shed. So they traded a place for him to stay for the rope, so Ember could have a harness. And they went back to the Scarecrow's house and dropped the fishermen off there. But now they took off that rope and traded it for the one that was in the water.
I see. Okay, I've really got to go back to the beginning of the story. I must have missed clues. Okay, thank you so
much. Lots of missing there.
More studying.
Yeah, you definitely look up for Hope on the Throne. It's a good myth.
Look it up. Hope sitting on the throne. Right.
Yeah.
And you suggested we have a throne on our map, on our artifacts.
Yeah.
So when we get NFTs or whatever they're going to be called, are you going to mint all these artifacts for us to collect?
Yeah, for sure. If we get NFTs, for sure. I'm gonna make cards again. We'll be making cards again if we get NFTs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play the happy game. Okay.
What happened with Moment? It's just not working anymore, or just
Yeah, it just stopped working pretty much. I think they want you to pay for it now. I mean, it was one of the first services we used. It was on, it was very, very baby when we first got it. It wasn't even like 500 users. So I guess they either got a bunch of funding or a bunch of users. I don't know what happened, but it doesn't seem to work for me anymore. And if you transferred it off into your account, then you still have them and you can still use them and all of that. But if you have them and want to trade them in or burn them or whatever, or send them, because you can still transfer the ones you own in your account. So if you want to send them to my wallet, I will give you MTCG for them. Whatever they say on them, I will give to you.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
And Bounding Curve, it's also coming to Mint Me, right? So they were announcing. I actually shared Bounding Curve.
The bonding curve.
Yeah, Bounding Curve.
Bonding curve, yeah. They've been talking about that for 3.0 for a while. What about
yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I don't think it's gonna it's gonna more automate the system, I guess, but it'll help a little bit. And that's why I'm trying to push them into deploying free. Anyone that deploys on different blockchain also has a Mint Me market. They really should, and they should get on top of that, because with the bonding curve, it's really gonna matter. So we'll see.
In what aspects mostly it's going to
It's going to matter for the asset overall, for the Mint Me token overall. I mean, right now you have tokens that can deploy on Polygon or whatever, and you can't buy or sell them on the Mint Me market. You can only sell them on the market that they deployed on. That's a big hurt to the asset overall.
Yeah,
so,
I see. Awesome.
We'll see how that goes with the bonding curve. They'll adjust if they have to, I'm sure.
So good.
Yes. Great meeting, guys. Great quantum gathering. Yeah. Oh, to MindsGaming.
It kicked me off. Anyways, I gotta run, guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Great meeting.
Thank
we were just
you.
saying great meeting. So
Later, guys.
see you.
see you.
Take care, bud.
Time to go.
Okay, guys.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Bobbing Along with Bob Dub. If you enjoy content like this, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Or better yet, come and join us on minds.com/BobDub. If you're not already a member on Minds, get a free account on this open source social media platform. We look forward to seeing you next week for another episode of Bobbing Along with Bob. And if you can't wait a week, you can find older shows here on this channel. Goodbye, everyone.
Bobbing, bobbing along, bobbing along, bobbing along, bobbing along.